raccoons. I just wanted to pop in to give you guys a little bit of a disclaimer about a definition we talk about later on in the episode. We talk about somnophilia in the book talk context, but then when we went to actually look up what the word means while we were editing, it said that it is a paraphilia in which an individual becomes sexually aroused by someone who is unconscious. That is not what is in our fic, and that is not the way that we talk about somnophilia. We think that we have a little bit more of a casual definition of it based on our book talk and bookstagram lives. But we wanted to pop in really quick before you get into the episode to let you know that there is a little bit more to it than that so that we can represent it properly for you. Hope you all enjoy the episode. Bye.
It's called Smut. Give me smut and nothing but a dirty novel I can't shut if it's uncut and unsat.
Merry Christmas.
Merry almost Christmas.
I'm upset.
And happy Hanukkah.
Yeah, and happy Hanukkah and happy New Year
Yeah.
and happy solstice and all of that. We had a lovely solstice get together.
That
We
was
did
a
a
lot
couple
of
days
fun.
ago.
And you said one of the most favorite things I've ever heard, which is when Jake came to pick you up and we were still in the middle of something. I heard you. It was dead quiet. And you go, "We're talking to the moon right now. You can't come in." No. We're talking to the moon. And you go, "Seriously?" "Yes."
Yes.
"Okay, I'll go wait out."
It was important.
And I was like, he can go in the kitchen. And somebody else at the table, I can't remember who it was like, no men. And I was
No
like,
man.
fuck.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was Sean.
I think it was Sean. Sean was like, "No, that's not."
Well, and then on that vein, like, because we did a ritual in which we were letting things go and inviting things in.
Yep.
And then I think this was either the day before, actually, or the day after. I think it was actually right before, because I made a list of things that I was really proud of that we did this year.
Yeah.
And like us as a podcast, but just like me, because I think I had like a weird year. Also, this is coming out in February, so like
They get to listen. Yeah.
Time capsule. But like it was a I went through a breakup. I moved in by myself. There was a lot of life changes that weren't necessarily awful, but weren't necessarily like amazing, and like just like a lot of stuff. And so I was like, I should like really think about what happened this year. And I was like, well, yeah, we were on the fucking news. We were on WGN.
Yeah, we were on the news. That was this year. Isn't that weird?
That's so weird. Like I had an amazing birthday party. I had like there's random things that I forgot happened this year. Like I went to Portland.
I kept running into that because in order to record on my phone for this session,
Yep.
I went through all my photos and I had stuff. I mean, I had 9 years of photos on there and I transferred them all onto a hard drive. But I was going through this year's and I was like, oh yeah, I went to London with my mom. We were on the news.
Yep.
We did 3 live shows. Like we did.
I
Like
wrote
a
that
lot
too.
happened. Yeah.
So I was like, these are all things I'm actually really proud of, and I'm like, wow, that was because I'm, with the new year, you always like, what are the resolutions? And I'm like, I think the last couple of years have been like, fuck last year, let's get a better year. And I'm like, no, this year was actually nice. Let's remember this and then go from there.
I don't do resolutions. I actually devote myself to learning something completely for a year. Like 2 years ago, I learned the entirety of my insurance system.
Dang.
That sounds terrifying.
It's awful, but I will say that I have never had to pay. I don't pay for things because I constantly am like being like, I constantly know my plan.
Yeah.
So before anything gets done, I can say whether or not I want it, which doesn't really always advocate for myself for care, but it does advocate for my pocketbook.
I think 33 is the year of the tax guy. I'm going to get a tax guy. Happy birthday, Emily.
For 2019, I believe that was what my goal was. I learned everything about my taxes.
That's so smart.
And how to file them myself. And then I married Jake
and
that
he
exact
does it?
same year. And he went, oh, no. We got to get a tax guy.
And I went, all of that learning you don't need.
You can double check, it's
I do.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like there's numerous times where I'm like, by the way, like I have student loans, and like all of a sudden it changes everything. That's why I have to go in to talk to our tax guy. But like Jake does insist on the tax person because he's like, I know that you know it. I don't know it.
Right.
That's fair.
And it's not fair of me to ask you to do my homework.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Yeah. And that's his way of contributing the homework.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But what we're going to ask this year to learn is all about Santa.
Also, we're Femmes Reading
What
Filth.
a good segue. I'm Emily.
And I'm Jess.
And this is
Femmes Reading Filth.
glorious.
I went a little lower that
The
time.
last recording of 2024, I will say.
I think at first we're like, here we go, and now we're like, okay,
We're in it. We got a sinus infection. We got some weird phlegmy stuff on my end, but we
got a lazy bitch over here,
and we're gonna fucking talk about Santa Claus fucking people.
I had issues, and you know what? I'm gonna go into saying this. We can cut this out too, but I'm not proud of this episode. I'm not proud. I feel like I could have done better. Although I also feel like it's because the source material was not there for me. And I will put that out there.
They let you down.
You know what? Kindle Unlimited for the first time in 4 seasons let me down.
We also did have a moment though before you got here, Andrea, where she turned to me and went, "Did you do research?" And I went, "No." And she goes, "There's no research." And I was like, "We could have researched like what Santa Claus is and like how
we're not a Santa podcast.
Any of that." But no, yeah, we're not a Santa podcast, and we expect that everyone can Google it.
Yeah.
Unless you know things.
I have a question to start off with. Do
Yes.
you guys think that Christmas is a sexy time of year?
No.
I feel like there's caveats to that answer.
All right, let's hear it.
It can be yes, it can be no. I feel like mostly when I think of Christmas, first of all, it's like family time. That does not equate sexy time. But if you are a family of 2, a partner and you, I think you can make it as a la Ted Lasso, sexy Christmas.
Okay, yeah.
Unwrapping a present, which are like your boobs, I don't think it's inherently a sexy holiday though.
Right. Yeah, I think there's some holidays that have like
sexiest holiday,
Halloween, Valentine's Day.
See, I don't think that's very sexy. Actually, did we talk about this before?
We did, because that was our prompt for everyone when we did our holiday episodes.
That's right.
And I was having deja vu when you were saying it, because I was like, this was her exact answer when we did this for the Christmas episode.
No, it's not sexy. It's romantic.
It's romantic, which I agree with that. And like, yeah, Christmas, you can make it sexy, but I don't think there is sexiness inherent to it. You have to bring the sexy.
I think that it wasn't sexy until Eartha Kitt made it sexy.
Oh.
So in the 60s, everything changed.
Santa Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she did bring in what a lot of the fics that I read for this episode are about.
So many books are called Santa Baby, Santa's Baby, Santa Babies,
Santa Babies.
I'm Santa's Baby, Kiss Me Santa Baby. Like, guys,
all of the different iterations of Santa and Baby together.
So many.
And mostly just fully smut, very little plot.
It's all porn.
It's all porn. Mostly, like, I ran into a lot of very specific kinks. I ran into a lot of daddy kink. I ran into a lot of, like, sitting on the lap innuendo.
There's a lot I ran into where it was young Santa looking, and then, like, once he marries or once he finds, like, then he turns, or, like, the magic happens only once a night or whatever. But there are some where it was, like, and I did I tell you this already? I think I told Sean, somebody at the Solstice Post, like, I read one and I don't remember the name of it. It was like Santa Comes Down My Chimney. Like, that's what it was called.
Excellent.
Or something like that. And they she hears someone breaking in downstairs and is like, oh my God, I'm gonna go get them. And it turns out to be Santa, normal old fat Santa, and her being like, he's kind of hot. And then he's like, I've got to deliver presents, but like part of my Santa powers is that I can hear your desires, so like I'll come back for you.
Amazing.
And she's like, what? And he doesn't turn out, he doesn't like take off his suit and there's like a 6-pack. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I do love a dad bod, but like, it's the thing
it's
of like,
too much.
it is a 60-year-old seemingly like jolly large man that she's like, we're gonna fuck.
If I could, I did write down 3 of the ones that I read.
Go for it.
But I actually have a 4th that popped into my head while you were talking about it. One of the ones I read that I was really sad didn't have a plot, because I thought it could have been a fun premise to talk about, was he was a mall Santa. Okay. And so he was like hot normally, and she worked as an elf like at the mall, and that was the thing. But it was literally, they just banged in the back room. There was no other anything, so I had to pass on it. And then there's a fic that I wanted to do for our Christmas episode and didn't, because it wasn't related enough to the theme. And I couldn't do it for this episode because it would have been my 3rd Harry Potter fic, and I have a line. But it's one where Hermione like drives into a snowstorm accidentally and it's like a Muggle AU where she's driving and a big blizzard hits and he is like the first responder that rescues her, and he's like, well, you can just like stay with me until the snowstorm passes.
Who is he?
Draco.
Okay.
And when they finally bang, she like makes a joke about, you sure are like a Father Christmas, and he goes, that's Daddy Christmas to you. And I realized I would have only been doing it in order to say that to you guys.
Just say Daddy Christmas.
That's Daddy Christmas to you. And but there's no other mention of Santa in it. And then the third one was based on the Santa Clauses, which is
the movie The Santa Claus?
No, there was a short-lived 2022 TV show called The Santa Clauses.
2022.
Based on the Santa Claus movie with like Tim Allen.
Oh, yes. It was on Disney Plus, right?
Yes. Pairing Bernard the elf with the reader.
I'm in. I'm in. 100%. I'm in.
It was too weird for me. I couldn't bring myself to do it.
You guys said Christmas wasn't a sexy holiday.
Bernard the elf wants to tell you otherwise.
I was just about to say, there are so many things about Christmas that I think that we just have decided that because Christmas is so hectic, we forget that it can be a sexy holiday.
It can be.
Again, you have to bring it.
You have to provide the sexy. Yeah. Oh, and then the fourth one was You've Got Mail AU. But it was a Raylo where they're like they met on Tinder and they've just been sexting for a year as like very BDSM-y, very graphic sexting, but then she doesn't know that he's the evil CEO trying to take over her bookshop. And I couldn't do it because the author had put images in of their text messages.
Oh, okay.
And the image links broke.
Oh.
So I couldn't see like half of the story.
That's
because half of it was their text messages, and I was devastated. And I like looked in the comments because I thought my computer was malfunctioning.
And it was a story.
And there were a bunch of people in the comments being like, I really want to read this, but the link is broken. Can you help? And so I definitely went on a journey. It didn't do a lot of these because they either weren't related to Santa or they were too smutty and had nothing else to talk about.
I will also say something I ran into was, if it wasn't porn, it was small town Christian romance. It was he's the mall Santa and she's the single mom, or like, which is weird. Actually, there is one that was like, it was called like Santa Christian Romance. And I was like,
that was like the title?
No, but it like the
the genre, category.
Yes,
yeah.
Well, I tried to do this, by the way.
The genre.
The genre. And there was one where it was like it's a young Santa who comes to find his wife, basically, and she has like the spirit of Christmas in her, and she loves Christmas and da-da-da. And I was like, it said it was supposed to be spicy, steamy, and I got like 30% of the way through, and they were like, and we kissed and it was magical. And I was like, oh no,
this kind.
And then I like looked back and it was like Christian, but I'm like, but there's no Jesus, there's no religious. Why is a Santa book a Christian romance?
Do you ever control F and like search fuck or moan or
no, because it's a book.
You can't search within Kindles.
Well, I have to download the book first and everything. But I guess I could search in there, but like
I will every once in a while, if I get like 25% of the way in and no one has kissed and no one has banged, I will control F and just start typing in naughty words to see if I can, because I don't want to finish it and then find out that there's no smut.
That's
yeah.
But I have to like find the thing and download it first. Too.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's a little different.
And then half the time, I don't like, for this one, I now have like 5 books on my Kindle, which I'm really pissed about, that are all Santa themed, that were like 99 cents. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll buy it. Because if it's under like $2 and I really can't find anything, I'll just purchase it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I have all these stupid Santa books now.
So wait, Andrea, why did you pick Santa for us as today's theme?
Because first off, I hate when people do like, and then they went to Holiday Town. And there was a TikTok book that got really popular, and it was a gay romance, and it was clearly like the kid from the Halloween town versus Santa.
Christmas, Nightmare Before Christmas.
And it was adorable. Like, I read it, and I I thought it was very well done. I'm not gonna bash the author or anything like
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Like I had fun, but I realized it was not a trope that I would seek out.
Right.
And or want. But I also know that like this has to be something that exists on multiple levels.
Why wasn't it a trope that you would normally seek out? Was it like a little too fluffy? Or
I think that well, first off, anything that I think can be turned into a cartoon cover.
I try to not do any cartoon covers when I am doing this podcast because I know it's not going to be what I want.
Oh, interesting. What makes you say that?
It's not going to serve me. It's going to be sweeter. It's going to be fluffier. It's not going to be... I think a lot of the books we pick for this podcast, or the books I pick for this podcast, are stuff that we can laugh at because it's fun and silly. I don't go for a lot of angst. I don't go for a lot of feelings.
Yeah.
Which is probably something I should change sometimes.
I mean, that's what my job is.
But we don't have to stick with our roles, young lady. But I feel like it's going to be a lot more like romance feelings were meant to be rather than like, let's fuck and then fall in love.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I was 100% expecting when I read that for it just to be, what's the one about the president and...
Oh, red, white, and royal blue?
Yeah, I was...
Oh, yeah.
I 100% was like, oh, I liked it. It was just that.
That's what it kind of looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's enjoyable. I enjoy that trope, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But it just also at the same time isn't something that I'm going to seek out because I find it to be gimmicky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that if anybody could find something meaningful or good or enjoyable in it, it's you two.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, thanks.
Thanks.
We tried. We really did try.
And if you didn't, well, then I was right. This trope sucks. Tell me all about it,
So
Emily.
I, again, read 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5. Well, I didn't read. I skimmed 4. And then I was like, none of these. And one of them was Dear Monster Claus, which I was really hoping was going to be good.
Yeah, that sounds so promising.
About a Cupid and a dragon who is Santa. But it was just porn. It was just porn. But which I am going to finish it later. I landed on Seduced by Santa by Mina Carter. And it's a novella. A lot of these are novellas. I was trying to find a novel because that's usually what I read. And I was like, you know what? I don't owe anyone anything.
This is such a like niche market that we found ourselves into. That the fact that you found 5 is very impressive.
There's a ton of novellas that are just porn.
Yeah.
It's all Santa porn.
Yeah, that's amazing.
People need therapy, but in a good way. It came out June 12th, 2014. Why it came out in June, I don't know.
Beat the Christmas rush.
Yeah.
Seduced by Santa, Mina Carter, 84 pages long.
Love it.
Took like 2 seconds to read. So for me, it was very quick. So here we go. Candace. But
she goes by Candy? Is her last name Kane? Yes! Yes!
Did you see my face?
I'm not gonna lie. This is probably the only time I will enjoy the cliches like
Candy
this.
cane.
Oh, yeah.
So Candy is from a wealthy family who thinks that her community center that she built is a dumb joke. So she has been working at the chapel for 3 years. She's found this building. It was very run down. She put all her money into it, basically like half of her like inheritance or whatever. Inheritance. Thank you. And she's really like built it up because this is like a bad part of town that her parents and her friends and family just don't come to, but she really believes in it and she's worked really hard. And every year they throw a Christmas party for the youth of the area. The youths. And she's very sad this year because a vandal broke in and like broke everything.
Youths.
The damn youth. So the repairs will wipe out the coiffers, as what I said. And she it was not in
Scrooge.
it wasn't even in the book. I wrote coiffers. And everything will be wiped out that she had saved for the annual community Christmas party. So she's very upset. She's like, oh my God, the kids aren't going to get presents this year. They're not going to see Santa. This is the worst. And she like has these like flashbacks to her parents being like, well, why do you even work there? Or like, whoa, come home, Candy, your little project is done. Like, you know, it's that.
Yeah.
It's the Cobblepots from Batman Returns is what I'm thinking.
Incredible.
And if you don't know what that is, look it up. So she calls around to all the vendors who, after hearing about her woes, are like, oh, you know what? It's Christmas. Let me offer the food that I'm going to cater for free. Oh, Table Mania will give you these tables for free. Like all that. So she calls everyone. And after an hour, she's like, oh, I guess the party's still on. Like, this is so great. And like,
she put in all this hard work.
Book over. They all offer to do this stuff for free, except for the company that rents out Santa Clauses, because they're like, it's Christmas, lady. Do you like that I'm doing?
I do. Please, I don't need to read it. I just need to listen to you tell me the words.
I'm gonna write. Mina Carter did a great job knowing what this is. You don't need to read this, although this is a full series.
Great.
So I'll get to it later, though.
Okay.
And the Santas are like, this is Christmas. It's a business. Of course, we can't give it to you for free. So
come on, lady.
She's like, you know what? I did so good today. This is a problem for tomorrow, Candy. Today, Candy is going to go home and just take a load off. A dual POV. Road are...
What?
The way you just looked at me. Can I show you what you just did?
Yes.
Because
you're always bringing me this ridiculous.
I didn't bring anything.
RHODE.
RHOD.
That's Rod.
RHOD
is Rod.
Because RHODE or
is road.
ES is roads. So with the H, I would think road is still.
Isn't the E at the end of it what makes it the O sound, and isn't it a short O if there's not an E?
All right, we don't need a grammar lesson from you.
I just think if her name is Candy, it makes more sense that he be Rod, because that's just a funnier.
I did not even think about that.
Like, of course his name is Rod. What's his last name?
Claus.
Rod Claus.
Road Claus. Road Claus. Rod Claus. Is it Road or Rod? RHODE or RHOD.
Are you looking to me?
You're the guest, so you have to pick. Am I going to say Road or Rod for the rest of this time?
I don't think I can stop you from saying Road because you've read
it's in my head.
Thing.
Yeah, it's okay. Do Road.
Rowdy Ryder Piper Claus hates Christmas. He's at his company's Christmas party, and he works for the Paranormal Protection Agency. And he's part of the Claus clan, which means on Christmas Eve, he's an elf. He's a winter North Pole elf.
Okay.
Who works at this Paranormal Protection Agency as like a bodyguard.
Got it.
This protection agency has a bunch of different paranormal creatures that work there.
And so in this world, Santa Claus and elves and that whole situation are paranormal.
Elves are.
Elves
yes.
are. Okay.
He is with his partner Stone, who is a werewolf. They are partners in this protection agency. They're always partnered together. So
Rod and Stone.
Road and Stone.
Uh-huh.
And so, but we learned that he's part of the Claus clan, which means on Christmas Eve, he has a belt that he puts on, and he immediately gains hundreds of pounds, a beard, and ages, and he helps deliver presents, but he stopped doing it 2 years ago because he hates that kids are so rude these days. So he is thinking of the Cobblepots in Batman Returns, of like kids being like, I wanted this iPod, not this one. I keep saying iPod like that's a thing anymore. iPad. There we go.
Yep. Fixed it.
Or like very selfish, undeserving rich families is what he was seeing so much of, and he lost his Christmas spirit. So he put his belt in a box and he shoved that box under the bed, and he is just a winter elf who has magic still, but just he doesn't answer the call.
Got it.
Anymore.
Got it. So both of our characters are trying to move past their family legacies.
Yes.
They have that in common.
We also learned that...
I thought you meant the werewolf. I'm like, I didn't... The moon?
Candy is also... No, I'm kidding.
Candy's also a werewolf.
She's not. But we learned that there is no Santa Claus. The Claus clan, of which there are many, are the Santas.
That's how they handle the whole global thing in one night.
Yes.
Got it. Makes sense. Makes logical sense.
Finally, an answer.
Yes. I've been waiting.
Thank you, Mina Carter. So him and his friend Stone are outside at this Christmas party. They're out on the veranda or whatever. I don't know. And which made me think it was like 5 stories up. I think it's just like right outside.
Yeah.
I think it's like right outside. And they are just shooting the shit, having a cigarette. We don't condone smoking. And they hear a scream. And they run. And they see 3 guys trying to mug / I don't know, maybe hurt her in some way. A woman. And so Stone immediately, and we don't know that Stone's a werewolf yet until now, when he goes, I got this, transforms into a werewolf. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I was like, oh, this is all like elves. Like, nope, this is all paranormal.
Were-elves.
Mm-hmm. And Stone's a werewolf, and Rode is like 6 feet tall and built. So they take care of the bad guys in like 30 seconds. These guys are like, get out of here, man. This is turf. And they're like, fuck you. And like, boom, 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 boom. Immediately.
Great.
Yes. He calls his like backup, like back at the agency. He's like, give me a car, give me the police, da 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 da. Which shouldn't be too far away because they're right across the street.
Yeah.
And the woman, we find out, is Candy. And she has a head wound. And when he's like, what's your name? She's like, Candace Kane. He goes, Candy Kane? Really? And she's like, yeah. And then they look at each other. And Rode is immediately like, oh my God, she has a concussion. She's in pain. But fuck, she's the hottest person I've ever seen.
Of course she is.
Insta-lust.
Yeah, insta-lust. She has like this brown hair. She has petite elfin features. And she's like she's all bundled up so he can't see her hot little body. But like he's sure that there is one under there.
He assumes. And Candy. Also, this keeps jumping. There's no like line or there's no like enter paragraph when it jumps POV. So it was hard to be like, she's so hot. Oh my God, he's so hot. I'm like, wait. Who is he talking about? Right.
Oh, it's Candy now. So Candy's immediately like, oh my God, this is like the most beautiful man I've ever seen. He's like 6 feet tall, a ginger, but like not the bright kind, like the dark kind of ginger.
Right.
And like, there's a difference. I think there is a difference.
I mean, yes, there is.
As someone who's
because some
dated,
people have light red hair and some people have dark red.
I've dated the light red hair. I'm attracted to both.
I'm attracted to both.
I'm attracted to all hairs.
Yeah.
I've dated one of each. A brown, a blonde, and a red.
You got the full set?
I got the full set, and I think I'm gonna end up with a bald guy.
That's the thing. Yes, that's the final boss.
Based on my dating history, I just need bald left. Okay.
You have enough hair for both of you.
I have enough hair.
I was just about to say we're dating men in their 30s. Don't worry, it will happen.
They're all
friend.
gone. I already went on one with one guy. Anyways, that's a story for a different time. Candy is like, oh fuck, he's super hot, but wow, my head really hurts. She has a concussion, and he calls back up, and they get a car, and he's like, can you stand? Can you walk? She's like, of course I can. She stands up and instantly like collapses. He scoops her up in his arms. She's like, this is nice. And he like puts her in the car. He goes around and to like drive. And she's kind of like
a gentleman, you say.
A gentleman. And he like, she's in the car kind of like laying against the thing. She's like, you're pretty hot. And he's like, well, you need to get to the hospital. Like, oh my God. And so she's like, oh, are you part of the... she knows that the agency is right there. So she's like, oh, are you part of the Paranormal Protection Agency, right? And we learned that paras, as is what they are referred to, have been out of the closet for years now, but she has never met one.
Okay.
So paranormal creatures and humans are all living in harmony together in this world.
Yeah.
So
it's a known
still
thing.
Needed a Santa, though, for her party.
Yes. We're getting to it.
Got it.
So at the hospital, they learn that she is concussed and needs someone to stay with her. And the doctor assumes Rode is her boyfriend. The staff tried to question him, but with his Santa powers come mind tricks. So like, because kids like will be like, where did you come from? And he's like, don't worry about it. And they're like, gonna go to bed. Like I was like,
it's
what
the Men in
fun.
Black. Look at the little.
It's the Men in Black.
Okay.
And he notices that because they were like, well, are you sure you don't want us to call your family? She's like, no. I don't want that. Like, I'm going to go home with my boyfriend here. And he's like, huh? And she's like, play along. So he takes her home. Oh, as she's signing out, he's like, the only Canes I can think of are of the Kane Incorporated family. And it's people like them, which is the reason why I left being a Santa. And as they leave, it starts to snow, and he feels the call, which again is the need to open that box and put the thick leather belt on. And as soon as you put it on, the magic takes over. And so he's standing outside, just like he can hear the distant like chime of jingle bells and like feel the magic. And then he's like, gotta take the hot girl home. Okay. And so he gets to her house. She's in this like sad 1-bedroom apartment, still in a bad part of town, pretty much. He's like, why are you slumming it? And she's like, oh my God. Oh, sorry. I wrote my notes really bad, but I remember what happened. He's like, why are you slumming it? She's like, because my family like doesn't own me, and that's why I didn't want the hospital to call them, because I don't want to give them any reasons to like try and get me to come back home, and like I love what I'm doing here, and da 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 da. And she is decorated up for Christmas, and like she turns on her little fireplace, and they sit on the couch and they're talking, and she's like, so what are you? I know you have some magic. And he's like, I'm a winter elf. And she's like, are you a Christmas elf? And he's like, yes. And she's like, oh my God, those are so rare. And he's like, yeah, I know. And they're like talking, and they're getting closer and closer because they can't stop looking at each other's lips.
Of course.
And finally she's like, help me make some Christmas magic. And he's like, you're concussed. And she's like, not that concussed. And they kiss. And he's like, but you're injured. And she's like, I won't break. I'm not fragile. And this leads to number 1, which is the only sex scene called This Sex Scene is a full third of the book. And it's like, they basically like make out.
What a title.
They make out, they fall from the couch to the floor onto this carpet in front of this roaring fire. And he like fingers her and he eats her out, and she like, you know, goes down on him. Then he flips her over, and then they like bang in front of this fire. And then they're like, we're in love now.
A third of the book.
It's like a third. This is 84 pages, this book.
Bless your heart.
Yes.
Yep.
So 2 weeks later, they're still banging. They've been banging hard for
the
2
whole
weeks.
time.
They've never stopped.
What about the party?
Well, it's not. This was like 3 weeks before Christmas. So it's 2 weeks later, and it's Christmas Eve, which is today.
It is today.
When we're filming this.
Yeah.
Recording this. And the community center Christmas party is tomorrow, and his friend Stone is the one that has agreed to play Santa, and Rode is very excited because he's like, you're gonna look so stupid, I can't wait to watch. No one knows that he's a Santa Claus elf, by the way.
Oh, okay.
This is not common knowledge. They know that he is a North Pole elf.
Got it.
They do not know. So, because they don't know the magic of Santa Claus. They don't understand that.
Okay, so the Claus clan and that whole thing is not known in this world. They still are like Santa Claus, that's the guy.
Yes.
And it's shrouded in mystery.
Yes.
Got it.
So he's like, you're going to look so stupid. And Stone's like, at least I'm doing something for the community. And they bang one more time. And she's it then like fast forwards to the night of their bang, and he's out of the shower, and they're like, I'm gonna go. She's like, I'm gonna go to the community center. I'll see you soon. He's like, yes, I'll be right there. He like takes off his towel. He's like, unless you want to be late. And she's like, no. And like, she's like, I can't.
That's every relationship.
Very realistic, actually. Yeah.
And so he's like naked. I just want to like point like this. Sorry. So he's naked. Just remember that.
Okay.
And he's getting ready to go. He leans forward to grab like his pants or something, when all of a sudden he feels the call again, because it is now Christmas Eve.
Right.
And he looks, and the box that he keeps the leather belt in has somehow popped up and has appeared on top of the dresser. And he's like, oh my God, okay. And then he looks at his window, which he was fine being naked in front of because it faced a brick wall.
Right.
Magic has happened. The brick wall has disappeared, and he can see across the rooftops. He can see like out into the night.
It's calling him. The chimneys are calling him.
And he sees a Santa Claus out in the distance, and he realizes it's Cole, his brother, one of the Santa clans.
Cole
Claus. And his brother sees him, and he waves. And Rode feeling so happy and full of magic and love, waves back. And he remembers that like there are kids out there whose moms have saved up all year to buy these presents. And he's like, oh my God, like maybe Christmas is real. And then he looks down at the belt again and he goes, I'm going to put this on. That whole time he was naked. He saw his brother who saw him waved in
his dick
Santa's
out.
suit. Right?
Yeah.
I was just like, wouldn't you, if you saw your sister, be like,
Yeah, I would try to help. I wouldn't. His brother's kind of a piece of shit for leaving him literally hanging like that.
and like,
If it was my brother, I'd just like give him the finger and be like, douchebag.
I'd be like, yikes. But like maybe nakedness is not as looked
down
upon in elf clans. But I just was like, you see your naked brother waving at you full of Christmas spirit, I'd be like, put some pants on.
I
Right.
need you to know, every time you say the calling, I just hear in my head the from Frozen.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so he puts on the belt and he shows up. We go to the community center. Rode is in this like tacky, like terrible, really cheap Santa outfit, and he's like, I don't know if they're gonna buy this. And she's like, it's okay. Like, they have presents. But then they're talking, and everything stops because they hear jingle bells. They hear like the sleigh bells, and they go, "Did you hire another Santa?" No, I didn't. And Santa walks in, and he goes, "Are you on the nice list or the naughty list?" And she's like, "Road?" And he's like, "Yeah, baby." And she's like, "You're Santa?" He goes, "I'm one of many Santas." And she's like, "Can you keep this on for later?" He's like, "You know it." And he goes and he like
my God.
he like spreads Christmas cheer, whatever. Then we get an epilogue. Oh, she goes, "What the fuck? You're actually Santa?" He's like, "Yeah." 3 years later,
Amazing.
it is Christmas. He comes home and he's delivering the last present, which is going to be a ring box for candy.
So he's kept his Christmas spirit
He's
all this
kept
time.
his Christmas, but the other 364 days of the year, he's still part of the Paranormal Protection Agency.
Right.
But
Obviously.
Never
We'll never forget. One day a year, though, he's Santa Claus. He comes back. He delivers the last present to his future fiance. Goes into the room, and she's like, I tried to stay up, but I was too tired. And he goes, "That's okay. You had our own little bundle to take care of." And we find out she's preggo, which out of wedlock, definitely not a Christian romance, and which I don't have any fucking problem with.
What do the elves think of that?
What do the elves think of that? And he's like, "This is going to be the best year yet." And then they fall asleep together while he clutches her stomach. Merry Christmas.
Wow. Yay.
That was the fastest story I've ever told.
What was it called?
It was short and sweet.
Seduced by Santa.
Seduced by Santa, and she sure was.
She sure as hell was.
You know what? It is what it was.
Yeah. It was.
And it was what it is.
And the whole time I pictured her in only white and red clothing. Didn't picture her in anything other than Candy
Stripes.
King
She
colors.
only wears stripes.
She only wears stripes.
Yeah. The other ones I read, Monster Claus, about a dragon, Santa, and a Cupid who fall in love. The Santa baby, in which a younger Santa comes to find his future wife. And
the dragon one really entices me, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, I really was hoping for that one too. And I was like, I've done a lot of creature features on this season.
Yeah.
And then it was like, just like, if you
Just fucking.
well, I should have known from the content warnings, because I truly,
Please give us those.
because I should pull that should be, I didn't have a game for this, so maybe this should be it. 'Cause
Excellent.
I literally just forgot to make a game. But I never read content warnings anymore, and I think it's because of this podcast.
Yeah.
We've
seen enough.
I've seen a lot, and let me pull it up.
I do love what each individual author does to try to add to the lore of Santa, like the mechanics,
right?
Of like, oh no, it's a crew of clauses. Like that's how it works.
Yeah.
But also, like, I am a true believer that Christmas time is a romantic time.
Yeah.
And thus, I don't think that maybe this area is being utilized in this romance fantasy like,
I think there could be more, but I do think it becomes very like
gimmicky,
and it always comes down to like the magic of Christmas, like made you fall in love, which I
Right.
don't like. I feel like not everyone acts like they do in July as they do at Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone seemed a little happier or a little more sad around the holidays. So I don't know. But okay, here are the here are the list of content warnings from the monster one that I did not read. And then I'm going to ask you a question about Santa romances in general.
Okay.
So this one says, it says content warnings. They're going to be detailed on this page, so skip it if you don't want spoilery stuff. But last chance, if you don't like the pregnancy trope, don't read the second epilogue. There are sexual situations with teaching sex acts, honorifics, squirting, anal, praise, breeding kink, shibari light with ribbon, peppermint cum, a candy cane dick, a sex swing, drool play, salarophilia. There's virgin sex without condoms. There is what's called the melt, which is their equivalent to omega alpha traits. It's a lot. I think the peppermint cum is what made me go, I'm in. For the Santa one, we had mind tricks. We had immediately turning into somebody with a belt. We had kind of like strength, like brute strength, which is when he beat up the guys.
Yeah.
He had magic windows. What's something that you would want if you were, in that situation? If you had to pick one of those things
for my Santa powers?
Yes. If you could only have one Santa power, what would you pick?
I want to be strong.
You want to be strong?
Yep. I want to be able to beat the shit out of somebody as Santa.
Okay.
That's what I go
You want to be a badass Santa.
Yeah, I want to be able to protect my gifts if I need to.
Okay.
I love the idea of the window into seeing past things. Just because that sounds ridiculous.
And maybe you could because he doesn't the magic seems to do it for him, but I'm wondering if you could pick you could see whatever you want out your window.
Yeah.
That's what I want to give the caveat of the magic to,
I think, like I said, it seems a little ridiculous. Want to know what I think the number one thing for me, if I was to ever have to be in a Santa Claus situation, is I would love to know the perfect gift to give people.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
Because I get gift anxiety where I think after I give somebody something, I'm like, oh,
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
For a Santa power.
That's great.
I love that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I would totally do that. If that was on the table, I would do that. That kind of
goes with the book that I described before, where he was like, I can hear I know what people desire because I'm Santa.
Right.
Therefore, I will fuck you later. Me, I'd go with mind powers.
Yeah.
I would love, because I'm, which actually kind of goes against, I feel like I want attention all the time. And because of that, I'm like, no one will ever forget me. And this, I'm like, forget me. But it's because I'm like, forget I was here, and I'll go do crazy shit.
You want to be sneaky.
I want to be sneaky. I think I'm sneaky. I don't think I'm actually sneaky, though, in real life.
No, you're too loud.
Fair enough.
Santa part 2. Let's get into it. So there is a tag called Santa Kink. There is, but it's only about 300 works. However, I did find this on the Santa Kink section of AO3. Santa Kink as a tag I found has a lot of daddies, but this one does not have as much daddyisms. There are definitely daddy issues, but there's not a lot of calling people daddy. So that's what we're dealing with. All of this is consensual. It's all consensual. But slight creepiness because of the age difference of Santa and someone of a normal human woman age. Okay. Because Santa is an old man and immortal. Gotcha. And then consensual somnophilia.
Gotcha.
Do either of you know what somnophilia is? Yes. I figured you would know because I've sent you fics with somnophilia in them.
Okay, thank you for putting that caveat.
Yes, I think I introduced you to this. Probably
you didn't, but go on.
All right. Do you know what this is, Andrea?
You know what? I did take Latin.
Okay.
What do you think?
Do you want to take a stab?
I'm gonna guess that it has to do with sleeping.
Yes.
Believing someone is asleep.
Yep.
And waking them up with a certain act.
Yes.
Correct.
Indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Onifray.
Yes.
I appreciate you. It was 8th grade, and I learned nothing else.
Nice. They came in handy just now.
Wow.
But yeah, somnophilia is having sex with someone while they are asleep, or starting sex while someone is asleep and then them waking up in the middle of the act. It is fun if it is consensual. It is not fun if it's not, as most things are.
It can be in the CNC world.
It can be in the CNC world.
Con world.
Yes, you see it a lot in those types of fics. You see it a lot in like BDSM-y type stuff. I'm not necessarily... I've read a lot of fics that have it, and it's never creeped me out as long as it's been something that both people... as long as it's been something that the person that's asleep has agreed to beforehand, which is the case in this fic.
I feel like a lot of people don't realize, like, when they read stuff where it's like, and he woke me up the next morning kind of thing, like that is somnophilia.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's where a lot of the tags do come from too. So I feel like, because when I first heard it, I was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh wait, I read this and thought it was like fun and cute.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, he woke me up on Christmas morning with his tongue
like,
in my toe.
Yeah. That's somnophilia.
I'm not against that. CNC is one of the things that give me the ick.
Yeah.
But
I
but I definitely have seen it in like cutesy romance of like, and we woke up in each other's arms and immediately just,
Yeah, I only read it if the person wakes up and is like,
into
yay!
it. Yeah.
This is what I was hoping would happen.
Correct.
Waking up to a horror show between your legs is never anything I want to read.
I watch it, no, immediately period drama came into my, not like period drama, but like a horror between the legs. It's like, oh man,
I started
8th grade.
That's what I thought. Period drama.
Yeah.
But also throwback to episode 2 of the season, Soulmates. Ice Planet Barbarians, somnophilia. She wakes up with the blue alien right between her legs.
Correct. Okay, so this is called A Dolly That Laughs and Cries and Can Open and Shut Her Eyes by Hormonal Trash Bag.
What fucking fandom is this?
It was published December of 2022. It was supposed to be a one shot, but became a 4-part.
Okay, you just have to give me a second after that title. 1 second.
All right.
A Dolly for Me and You?
A Dolly That Laughs and Cries, one that can open and shut her eyes.
All right, well, I was completely off with that.
It has a longer title than one would imagine.
So that was longer than my novella.
Well, and one that can open and shut her eyes is in parentheses. I hope that
Okay,
helped.
yeah.
But by hormonal_trash bag. So we're in good hands.
This is somebody who listened to Panic at the Disco a lot.
That's somebody who I worked with and like in my restaurants growing up. Like I know this person.
This is technically Star Wars, Rey and Kylo Ren, but it's not at all. It's just like the one that we did earlier, where all you need to do is picture Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley, and there's no other similarity, and we're not gonna deal with it.
Okay.
They're a vehicle for smut, and that's about it. Fun tags, Dubcom because of the somnophilia, Christmas, foster child Rey, which tends to be a trope with these pairings in like modern AUs and stuff. Like that's how they deal with her orphanness in canon, is like she's from the foster system or she was adopted or something along those lines.
Yeah.
The other tag that I thought was fun was Santa is real and very lonely. Santa is old on Christmas, but only on Christmas. Excessive cum. He's gonna stuff her stocking. Winky face.
Perfect.
Here we are.
No notes.
And then these are our author's notes. I've been thinking about this fic since September. I was determined to post a Christmas fic this year. Say what you will about Santa, but if you strip away the holiday cheer, he's a total creep. He watches people when they sleep and breaks into their homes to leave them things in the middle of the night. Ben isn't a total creep as Santa, despite how the tags seem. He takes advantage of an opportunity that is given to him. I hope you all enjoy this indulgent fic and have a very Merry Christmas. So, Chapter 1, Rey POV. Rey's last Christmas with her parents was when she was 4. Her dad was out of work. They were on the road moving from place to place. They were on the road on Christmas and they sprung for a motel room. And then the next morning, and this is where I take issue immediately right off the bat. The next morning, both of her parents leave her in the motel room and go to get breakfast for them to bring back to the motel.
They leave a 4-year-old.
They leave a 4-year-old alone in the motel room.
They're bad parents.
And go to pick up Denny's or something.
Classic Denny's.
And they get in a car wreck because it's icy and they both die. So that's her parents die on Christmas.
Fuck.
That's where we're starting.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like a parent in the set of parents in the 80s.
Right? Yeah. I guess that was what threw me, where I was like, you would both just, one of you stay with the child. one of you can go and one of you can stay, but
No,
apparently
they
not.
both need the coffee immediately.
I guess. But her first placement, once her parents pass, is with Maz, who in canon is like the older alien lady with the glasses that you see in the first movie, and she just is like a motherly figure.
Okay.
So Ray gets placed
back in The Mandalorian, I believe.
No, the first one
she's the
Adam
alien,
Driver,
small
That's
alien,
short,
the
big old goggles, like bonds with Ray.
I think she's voiced by Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes, she is.
Excellent.
Pulled that one out of my butt.
Good work. So little 4-year-old Ray gets placed with Maz. She has an older foster brother, and she's a great foster mom and tries really, really hard to make the holidays special. The entire month of December is the following year is Christmas time. And Ray realizes when she gets older that it was probably an attempt to distract her from her parents' death. But as a little kid, she just is caught up in like baking cookies and decorating the tree and all of that. And she remembers very vividly writing her first letter to Santa Claus. And her parents had never mentioned Santa Claus before. Another thing that she realizes when she gets older is that they didn't have a whole lot of money, and they probably were trying to not make their child aware of gifts and things on Christmas until the very last minute. But she had never learned about Santa, and so Maz teaches her about Santa, and she writes a letter very, very, very carefully asking for a baby doll that could open and shut its eyes when you make it sit up or make it lay down. And that's all she wanted from Santa. And in the morning, they come out of their bedroom and they see lots and lots of presents, and it's so fun. And she cries with happiness and joy because she gets to have a lovely, warm Christmas. And Santa came because he took a bite of the cookies that they baked and everything. And it's so amazing.
Proof.
But then, as these things go, after 3 short magical years with Maz is older and she has a stroke and is deemed unfit. And so Ray is sent to live with someone else. Yes.
Sad.
Bummer.
So now she's 8 or 9 maybe.
5, 6, 7. Oh yeah.
And she's sent to live with Plut, who in canon is like the junkyard guy that you see her selling something to right at the beginning.
That
Not
I
very
do
important.
remember.
Okay.
Yes, but slimy kind of dude who is not a super abusive foster parent, but doesn't really give a shit about the child in his house. Doesn't really feed her well. Puts her to work doing chores. And the worst thing for Ray is that there's no Christmas. There's no Christmas tree. There's no Christmas celebration. And she decides in her little heart that she's going to write a letter to Santa anyway. And she's super worried because she doesn't have any cookies to leave, but she remembers that Maz had said that if you were a good girl all year, that Santa would come.
At 9?
At 9. This is all she has.
All right. I'm here.
Let the foster child have some magic.
My bae.
Yep. So
You
she
think that
writes.
the world would be cold enough that some asshole kid would be like, Santa's not real.
No, well, because she doesn't really like interact with other than her foster brother, who she gets separated from, and then she's just alone with this dude. But she keeps her Christmas spirit because it's all she has. And so she writes a letter to Santa, and she wakes up Christmas morning, and there is a box at the foot of her bed wrapped in shiny gold wrapping paper that says "To Ray from Santa Claus," and she's super excited because Santa found her and gave her this was a really good detail for me because I definitely asked for this for Christmas, Barbie as the sugar plum fairy, just as she'd asked for.
Gotcha.
So yes, so she gets her Barbie.
Is it weird that I love when little girls in any sort of Christmas movie or Christmas episode get their Barbie?
Oh yeah.
No, that's really sweet.
It's
and
a
that's
big
something
deal.
we can like relate to as well.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I was sorry to like go on a tangent,
you're fine.
but I was watching Eloise at Christmas time, and they go to Toys R Us.
Yeah.
And this was filmed in like the early to mid 2000s.
Yeah.
And it's the big Toys R Us in Times Square with the Ferris wheel. And I remember I turned to Kim and I was like, "Do you remember going to Toys R Us and just like feeling like amazing. Like, this is amazing. And she was like, not really. And I was like, oh, I remember it. I remember the feeling of not even the one with, because I went there once, but like the one in fucking Niles, which got turned into something else, then turned back into a Toys R Us, and then was turned into like the Patel Bros. Anyways, and I just
know exactly what
you know exactly where it is. And it was, and you would like go, there was like the baby stuff, and then there was like the whole Barbie section, and then there was like the stuffed animals, and I just remember the like wanting to get lost in the aisles. And it's how I feel in a bookstore today. And it's such a lovely feeling.
Do you guys know how Toys R Us made its money in the 80s and 90s?
Is it gonna make me sad?
Well, no, it's actually it's
selling
brilliant.
toys.
Okay.
No, they sold diapers. They sold the cheapest diapers in America.
Wow.
And so people would come with their kids, and the kids would throw temper tantrums to get the toys, blah, blah, blah. But Toys R Us was originally there to sell diapers.
That's a really good strategy.
That's
for them,
the RS
right?
part.
Yeah. And that is what you guys need for the next time you guys go to bar trivia.
What?
Go on. That's the RS part.
It's the part that's not toys.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. I can't fight you on that, but it makes me angry. Go on.
All right.
Apologies for interrupting.
No, you're fine. Okay, so this is the event though. She's it's her first Christmas without anybody, with no Christmas celebration. She writes to Santa and she gets a gift from Santa, and this makes her a believer in Santa forever. She resolves to never lose her Christmas spirit and to never stop believing in Santa Claus.
Cute.
Because it did genuinely work, and in this world Santa Claus does exist, and she did get a present. So
Santa exists.
Santa exists.
She's gonna fuck that Santa Claus.
I missed. You want to know? I really thought that was gonna be like, and that's when the foster parents showed up. For the
No.
time.
This man does not give her anything, and the present is like at the end of her bed. It's like, so he doesn't see it. So she like unwraps it and then like hides it from him, and like it's her special little gift that she got. And so from then on, she's in Santa land.
Gotcha. Sweet.
Flash forward, we are now at Ben's POV. Ben is being called into the letter room by a very confused elf. Ben is very annoyed because he remembers before the days of screens when letters would just arrive on parchment, because if someone just writes "Dear Santa" onto anything, the message shows up.
That reminds me of The Mirror and Beauty of the Beast.
Show me my father.
Yeah.
It just shows up.
Yeah. So like anytime anyone starts a letter, no matter what the medium is, "Dear Santa," it routes its way to Santa. And now it's super technological. There's like a room with screens and sorting out these letters and everything. It's become a whole operation. And he's been called into the letter room because Ray's letter for the year has arrived. And it thanks him for the rose quartz pendant necklace last year and for giving her hope and joy for the last 11 years. And she asks for an instant camera and signs it, "Love, Ray." Hux, the head elf, is muttering, "She's 16. She's far too old for this. She shouldn't still believe in Santa Claus. Like, we can't keep sending her gifts. She's way too old." And Ben agrees, but then he says, "Let me see like her last couple of letters. Like, let me see if I remember her." And he looks at the archive at all of her previous letters and remembers her, and remembers how horrible her apartment was when he would go to drop off her gifts, and remembers, like, looks through all of her asks and is like, "Oh, this poor girl, like, she's had a really hard life, and like she's technically not an adult yet. She's 16, but like she's not 18." So like he like talks his way into letting them give her a gift this year.
Isn't he Santa?
He's Santa, yeah.
He should be the boss. He
is the boss, but he's beholden to his elves.
Well,
I'm picturing it like a Santa Claus situation, like the movie Santa Claus, where there's a whole infrastructure.
Okay.
There's a whole group of mechanics working to make sure that this is all running properly. And they're like, "Why are we wasting time on a 16-year-old?"
Okay. I'll allow it.
Yes, thank you. So he tells him to process the way they would any other letter, and then we get a little bit of him thinking about how he's been doing this for hundreds of years, and he feels very lonely and isolated, and this poor girl must feel the same way, and the least he can do on Christmas is to make somebody feel less alone. because he certainly knows what that feels like as Santa Claus. Photography becomes her passion in high school. She gets a scholarship to university. She graduates. She gets a job as a photographer and gets to go see breathtaking places as a nature photographer. Now she's 24 years old. She's overseas on assignment, taking pictures of wolves or something. And she still writes a letter to Santa Claus.
Taking pictures of wolves or something.
It's something. I think they mentioned wolves. I don't know. I didn't write it down. She's 24 years old.
Okay.
We get a flash now to Ben at the North Pole. He's been waiting. He's been waiting to be called down to the letter room to have this argument with the elves again, because ever since that initial argument when she turned 16, they keep bringing it to him, and he keeps going, well, she's still a student. She's in college. Like, she's still... We can grant her this one last wish, right? But she's 24. He arrives. Hux is so angry because the elf that read this year's letter has asked to be transferred to another department. And
Jesus.
And Ben,
what did she ask for?
Ben goes, why? What happened? And he's like, read the letter. Who would like to read letter number 1?
How many letters do you have?
3.
I'll do number 1.
Okay. All right.
Letter number 1. Dear Santa, it's been another long, busy year, hasn't it? I plan to stay on your list of good little girls after all. I'll do my very best to not be naughty, but sometimes I wish I could be.
Emily shaking her head.
If I had someone special to call my own, Santa, I have a confession to make. I don't really want anything for Christmas. I want it every day of the year, when I wake up in the morning, when I fall asleep at night. But because you can't give me a lumberjack with a large package of his own, nicely tied up with a bow and delivered directly to my bed, could I trouble you for a pair of thick woolen socks? If nothing else, at least I'll be warm. I wish I knew what you wanted for Christmas. It doesn't seem fair that you give so many gifts away and don't get anything in return. I know that isn't the point of being Santa, but all the same, I'd give you anything you wanted. Thank you for always watching over me. Love, Ray.
Thank you for that beautiful reading.
You put on your sultry voice.
You did.
Did I? Because I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I also felt things sloshing in my head as I was reading.
Oh, no.
I am so...
Reactions? Thoughts?
I was like, no. And then she says the lumberjack with a package. Then she goes to woolen socks.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
what a journey we've been on.
This letter is all over the place.
She wants a hot man to...
But she'll take socks instead?
Well, because Santa probably can't deliver the lumberjack. That's what she was saying.
Deliver a dildo. What do you... I just like, there's such a jump from lumberjack to socks.
I'm going to be real. There was a point in there that I was just like, all right, so she claims to still believe that this thing will happen. Can you imagine talking to somebody Merry Christmas
to a father figure?
What would you like for Christmas?
I would like a new pillow.
Great. Emily, what would you like for Christmas?
I'd like a lumberjack with a large package. Okay, not as hard for me to imagine that, to be honest. But I feel like I'm just silly and I say shit like that all the time. But like, to mean it to a father figure that you have been writing to since you were 5, like, it makes me think that I would automatically think of this person as like a grandpa.
She's just super lonely.
And yeah, all right. Magical realism. Go on.
She's just really lonely.
She is really lonely. You're right.
This is her only consistent friend and conversationalist.
I don't care how deep a friendship is. If you've only done things like talk to me about your Barbies and like ask me for trivial.
It is such a leap.
It is a leap.
It is such a leap. And that's where I'm like, she should have ramped up to it.
Like, I guess I would ask for a friend because I'm very lonely. The next letter is, and if that friend just so happens to be male, even better.
And then if he happens to have a large package,
even better.
Like,
I'm not saying that I need a large buildup. It is AO3.
I need a buildup though.
But I need some sort of buildup. You can't just come in
Yes.
guns a-blazing.
Yes.
I mean, this is what I found.
You're right.
You're right. What am
There's
I
nothing-
talking about? You did such a good job.
Continue on.
Well,
bad.
she's trying to shoot her shot. I'm not even completely sure when I was reading it that she is shooting her shot. I think she's just really lonely and like horny.
Fair.
And doesn't have any social skills.
Yeah,
And that's
there
more
it is.
how
They say-
more how I interpreted it.
I am desperate to see what the other 2 letters are now.
Okay. Let me move
I
forward.
am so excited
we can get to
to
those.
see what those are now.
Luckily, the letter number 2 comes up very quickly. So, Santa / Ben reads that letter through twice, and it's like that thing of like his ears are ringing and he's not completely sure where he is, but he's just very thrown. It was much worse than he imagined. Huck says, you encouraged this by continuing to humor her and by continuing to send her gifts long past when she should have been given them. She is not a child anymore. She hasn't been in like 6 years. So you have encouraged her to feel some type of special way. And we can't keep doing this. And Ben says, give her the socks. I will write a letter explaining that this will be her last gift from Santa. And I will write out an explanation because I just feel bad leaving this poor girl hanging after writing to me for 24 years or however long it's been.
I think that's a good solution.
I think so too.
Yeah.
He's really trying.
Give her the socks, write a letter.
Yep. It takes Ben a really long time to figure out what to write. He goes through many, many drafts. Quote, it had been a long time since he'd spoken to a woman, and the rules had undoubtedly changed in the years since he'd appeared at the North Pole. Because in the lore of this, he's been there for centuries. Like
Gotcha.
Centuries and centuries. And it's vague, it's yada yada over, but it's like, I think the Santa Claus where like the old Santa names a new Santa and then you just have Santa powers now and you have to kind of figure it out.
Okay.
That's the situation he's in. So he just became Santa Claus one day. Who would like to read Ben's letter to Ray?
Me.
All right. I think this is the one. Here.
All right. Well, this is a long one.
Yep.
Letter 2. Dear Ray. Should I do it in my Adam Driver voice?
Whatever you want.
I want to thank you. No, I'm not gonna do that.
No!
I can't do a full letter like that. No. I want to thank you for always believing in the magic of Christmas. You mentioned in a previous letter that your belief in Santa had given you hope to last throughout the year, and I have to confess that receiving your letters each year gives me similar hope. It takes a rare kind of person to keep faith, even when common sense says not to, and I know your life has given you little reason to believe in the goods of others. In that way, you already have given me a gift more precious than I can ever thank you for by giving a strange man you've never met your trust. This is why it pains me to tell you that I have to stop delivering presents to you after this year. I can't keep doing this.
It's amazing.
You haven't done anything wrong. In fact, you're probably better behaved than most of the children I visit each year. That in itself is the problem, Miss Ray. You are no longer a child. And why I hope you never lose faith in Santa Claus. I have to focus my time on the children who need me most. Okay, I can't keep doing
The way
that voice.
you're holding your jaw is so Adam Driver.
Yeah.
I don't think I can convey to you the regret I feel at having to come to this decision. I wish I could continue visiting you each Christmas indefinitely. If there was ever a woman that deserved the joy of Christmas to be brought to them, it would be you. I hope you like the socks, even if they can't warm you in quite the same way as your other request. Someone as lovely as you will find the lumberjack of your dreams without relying on my magic, I'm sure. Even if I can't deliver presents to you, I will still send wishes for you to spend each Christmas surrounded by those you love. Merry Christmas, Ray. Love, Santa Claus. Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Masterful.
That was amazing.
Yes. So
I could win an Adam Driver impression contest.
I'm pretty sure you could.
I think you could. You've got the cadence down perfectly. So Santa writes a very nice, a very leveled letter back in which, we learn that he likes and respects Ray because she believes in Santa Claus, and he doesn't discount that, but also I think he lets her down easy.
I think so too. That was a good letter.
Yeah.
I can breathe through both of my nostrils.
Hey,
congratulations.
Mazel.
So yeah, I think he writes a very nice letter, and he's like, okay, this very cool person who has a lot of faith in me. I think I did a good job. I did right by her, and like nothing further can happen. I'm an immortal being. He spends the rest of the day prepping himself for Christmas Eve, which is the following day. It was Christmas Eve, just like today.
Hey.
Oh my God, twice. And he's telling himself, this is for the best. She deserves to find that lumberjack. She needs to move on with her life. I can't keep just doing this just because I like checking in on her, and like I like that she still believes in Santa, and like because I'm lonely. Like he's like talking himself down. Ray spends Christmas Eve in her little cabin that she's rented during her time away. Don't think too hard about it.
While she photographs the wolves.
It's got a little kitchenette, and she bakes cookies for Santa.
Cute.
She started leaving out cookies for Santa again when she moved into the dorms because she used to not be able to because her foster dad Plutt would yell at her for wasting things.
Eat the cookies.
Would eat the cookies and just like not let her keep any of them. And she's hanging out in this beautiful cabin, and she's really thankful for it, and she feels safe, but she also wishes that she had somebody to spend Christmas with. And she thinks about how lonely she's been, and how she's been so excited for Christmas, the one bright night of the year where she knows at least somebody is checking in on her, and at least somebody out there cares.
Now I feel bad.
I feel fine.
She stares right before she kind of starts to get ready for bed. She stares at the plate of cookies that she left out for like a really long time. And I pictured this like the first Paranormal Activity movie where she just like gets out of bed and it's just for like too long. It's just staring at these cookies. And then before she can talk herself out of it, she like takes in a deep breath and grabs a piece of paper and writes a note and like puts it kind of not totally under the plate of cookies, but like tucks it in the corner in by the cookies. And she writes the note, and before she can second guess herself, and she says to herself, holidays are a time for honesty, and I hope Santa doesn't think any less of me for what I just wrote on that note. And then she gets ready for bed. Cut to Ben POV. He double checks his list and shakes his elf's hand before throwing his sack of gifts into the sleigh and takes off into the night sky. This is the only day of the year where he looks close to his actual age. He looks like an older gentleman and not like Adam Driver. This is because the temporal magic required to bop around the world as quickly as he does really drains him. And so he can't keep up the usual thing that keeps him looking young and hot.
I love that each of these stories had to explain that.
I was gonna say I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I appreciate the detail it takes to say, but he's actually hot, but not today.
But not today because his magic is being drained by his job.
Yeah,
and so I still pictured a hot older Santa. I pictured the Kurt Russell Santa from Christmas Chronicles.
Oh my God.
That's my Santa right now.
If we haven't talked about this yet on the podcast, I'm a big Kurt Russell fan.
Oh.
I love Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
I have been sexually attracted to him for many a year now.
Were you attracted to him in the Christmas Chronicles?
Never saw it. Saw the trailer, saw the pictures, went absolutely.
It's a fun romp.
But I respect Goldie Hawn so much I'd be like, never. From far away.
She's also in the Christmas Chronicles.
Yes, and
she's
I don't
Mrs. Claus.
I don't want to watch.
Delightful.
I don't want to watch them together because that could be me. But like, I respect her so much. I'm
yeah,
like, no, I'll let you guys have this.
You don't want to thirst after her husband.
No,
I understand.
That's so respectable, Emily.
Yeah,
not everyone.
Wow.
Not everyone. Just Goldie.
Just Kurt and Goldie.
There's probably like a handful. I got to think about
Harrison Ford.
Well, that's a different story. Fuck you, Calista Flockhart. Actually, JK, she's cool too.
She's fine.
I don't respect her as much as Goldie.
Yeah, and she would know that, and I think she would understand. I think she's a realistic woman, and she would go, Goldie Hawn. Yeah.
God, I hope Goldie Hawn is like a fan of this podcast.
Goldie,
please reach out. I'm obsessed with you. I think you have the most beautiful hair and eyes in the world. Go on.
So Ben leaves Ray for last because he's dreading it.
Yes.
And when he finally gets to her cabin, she is asleep on the couch, covered in a fluffy white blanket by the fire, because we got to have a fire in both of these as well. And he pulls his letter from his pocket and the box with the socks, and he goes to place it on the table by the cookies. And he sees a note peeking out from under the plate by the cookies. I'm going to read this one. This is not the one that has been printed.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have lied to you, but I don't really want just any lumberjack to keep me warm this Christmas. I want you, Santa. I know I shouldn't, and that you're just a jolly man who gives presents to children to spread love and joy and goodness. But I'm not a little girl anymore, and I want more. I know I'm asking for a lot, and I haven't done anything to deserve it. But please, Santa, won't you unwrap me this year?
No.
All I want for Christmas is for you to just take what you want.
No.
All she wants for Christmas is Santa.
Will you unwrap me?
Will you unwrap me this
Ooh,
year?
I don't like that at all. That's so that's cringe. That's cringe.
You remember the trigger warning where I was like, creepy? Consensual creepy?
Which is funny. I would expect it from Santa, not the person
No,
asking.
it's her. She's the driver of the creepy.
How interesting. This is a real 180 for me.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So Santa is terrified and panicked and starts to immediately hyperventilate a little because he's never been propositioned in his very long life.
Oh my God, is Santa a virgin?
He is not. Oh, no, he's not quite a virgin, but he became Santa early on in his life, and then he was Santa. So he's never had a wife. He's never had a girlfriend.
So he's a Santa virgin, but not a pre-Santa virgin.
Yes.
Gotcha.
He's not. Yeah. He's had sex, but it was a long time ago.
Centuries.
And he's just like staring at her asleep on the couch.
Another paranormal activity.
Just he's staring at her when she sighs in her sleep and moves her arm, and the blanket shifts, and he sees her bare breast. Don't ever look at me again when you say that. Her bare breast just peeking out from above the fluffy white blanket. And without thinking, he lurches forward to grab the corner of the blanket to cover her back up.
Oh, okay.
Because he's like, oh no, her modesty.
Lurches forward to touch her.
But then he's like still holding the corner of the blanket, and like she shifts even more, and then he sees like even more skin, and he realizes that she has gone to bed totally naked under this blanket. And he
again, something you don't do in the city, because if your building goes up in flames, you
got to be ready.
Out.
At
Also,
least I got to have at least
cold.
shorts on. Yeah,
So cold.
Well, she's in front of the fire. He lifts up the blanket even more. She's totally naked, and then he's like, "But I don't. What do I?" And then he remembers the note, and goes, "Oh, is that what she? This is what she was hoping." What, like, why else would she go to bed naked and unwrap me this year? And okay, so she's okay with this. So should I do? And he has like a panic attack. Like he freezes, and he's like, okay, she's naked and she propositioned me, and so she wants me to touch her, but should I do it? And then he lifts the blanket even more and kind of just like peeks. And it's described as he's slowly losing the will to resist. And then it escalates very, very quickly because he starts to touch her breasts, and then he moves the blanket even more. And I was okay with this because I got in the narration that I got her internal monologue. Yeah. She fully planned for him to do this. Yes. However, I'm going to now list for you the things that happen while she is apparently asleep.
Okay.
And this is deeply unrealistic to me.
Do we also think that she was pretending to be asleep?
Yes, a little bit.
Okay, gotcha.
Which is why I'm listing this. Because before she like goes, I'm awake now.
When do we think she actually woke up?
When do we think she actually woke up?
Gotcha.
He fully like puts her boobs in his mouth, like licks them, sucks on them, etc.
Okay.
Takes the blanket fully off. Starts to eat her out, starts to finger her and eat her out.
Gotcha.
Starts to finger her and touch himself and eat her out. And then starts to enter her. And that is when she wakes up and is like, Santa! Santa.
Yeah.
No, she's been awake the whole time.
She's been awake kind of probably the whole time,
I would
right?
say somewhere. I think you can be gentle enough with the boobs. I think it's when the blanket comes off because you're naked.
You're cold.
In a cabin in Finland.
Yeah.
The fire has most likely died down.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the cold and none of the sex acts that actually woke her up.
I would agree with that.
I think she started to come awake at the thing and was like, this is nice. I will keep my eyes closed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very light sleeper, and Jake has a sleep apnea machine. I can literally, I will wake up if I hear that the little bit of air is escaping through his mask, and I'll like be like hitting him, like, get up.
So you would have woken up to Santa staring at you for a minute, probably.
Stranger in my house.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're fully in it now.
Okay.
He's doing all the things. He starts to enter her.
Wait, has he taken off his clothes?
He's taken off some things, like he's unbuttoned the jacket and he's lowered the pants. So there's the beginnings of things.
Okay.
But he got distracted by naked ladies.
Gotcha.
So he hasn't really done a lot with himself yet,
Okay.
as far as that goes.
Yep.
Ray wakes up moaning Santa. And the first thing this man says to her is, good little girls don't wake up until Christmas morning.
This was worth it just to see Emily's reaction.
She took her headphones off and she's leaving.
She quit the podcast.
She's leaving. Emily, good little girls don't wake up until Christmas morning.
I don't ever want to hear
Am
that
I wrong?
Yeah. No, I don't like it. Ew. I can't.
Her
you were
fingers
wondering
trembled as she
why.
unfastened his red coat, tearing it open to reveal pale skin. Also, he has a six-pack. Also, he dirty talks a lot, and he calls her baby doll.
The first thing she asked for as a child.
Yes.
Go on.
Yes. After they both come, he scoops her up and carries her to bed and tucks her in, and she's trying to stay up. And she's like, no, don't put me to bed. I want to stay up and talk to you. And he's like, that's not how it works. Like, go to sleep. I have to get back to the North Pole.
Finance, bro, did I just hear?
Give me the liner. Good little girls don't wake up until Christmas morning. Is that what it was?
Correct.
Good little girls don't wake up until Christmas morning.
Perfect.
So it's that, and
It's
God
that.
is good.
God is
You
good.
have given me 2
God is good.
episodes now with
Adam
iconic Adam Driver lines that have upset me.
So she falls asleep almost immediately because they fuck like for a long time, and he's like, I gotta, before sunrise, that's the rules. I gotta get home.
Yeah.
Again, what in the finance, bro? Did
I
just...
know. Puts her to bed. She wakes up very happy. She got exactly what she wanted for Christmas. But then she sees the letter that he left, but the envelope is like opened and her green gel pen is next to it. So she like reads the letter and she's feeling like she's gotten broken up with, and she's about to cry when she gets to the PS that he wrote, which is basically saying like, I know this is presumptuous of me. Your whole world is south of mine, but I hoped you might still want to write even if you won't get presents out of it. It doesn't matter where you are or what writing utensil you use, as long as you start with Dear Santa and close with your name, it will find me. You don't have to wait until next Christmas.
But it also will
But
find
the
my
elves-
colleagues.
And she
Who will quit.
She slowly smiles and thinks, does an iPhone count as a writing utensil? Ben, on the other hand,
the elves are gonna see all of this.
doesn't usually do anything Christmas Day and spends most of the morning remembering Ray and their night together. But he's like, oh, I need to go down and talk to Hux about setting up a private channel of communication so that Ray can write to me. Like, oh, I'll go do that now.
Oh my God, please go do that now before anything is sent.
He goes into the computer room. All the elves are like partying. This is their one day off a year.
Gotcha.
The display of letters is still taking up the entire back wall of the workshop, cycling through letters. The elves are like drinking and playing cards and singing carols. Hux hands him a glass of whiskey. They're chatting when a gasp tears through the workshop.
No.
And they see a text message projected for all to see. Who would like to read letter number 3 to Santa Claus?
I can do it if you want.
All right, here you go.
Mom, if you're listening, do fast forward 1 full minute. Letter number 3, Dear Santa.
Here it is.
What if I did it with the Kylo? I don't want. Okay.
I'd be so happy.
I don't want you to disappear either, like how you disappeared from my bed. That wasn't very nice of you. I had plans for this morning. I was going to wake You don't have to. I'm gonna do it. This is my audition to like start like narrating romance books. Ready? I was gonna wake you up with a special kiss after you stuffed my stocking so thoroughly last night. You have such a big dick, but I bet I can still swallow it all. If you had stayed, I would have opened my mouth to catch your cum like snowflakes on my tongue. But you didn't, in all caps. It doesn't really matter if I'm naughty or nice, so I decided to hell with it. Merry Christmas, Santa. I hope you're thinking of me because I can't stop thinking about you and how much bigger your cock is than my fingers. Love, your bad little baby doll. P.S. When was the last time you came anyway? I should have known. With such a huge, heavy sack. Of course, you have a massive load. Jessica is crying.
I really do hope that
I have to cut all of that. So
this is what winds up on Instagram Reels.
I'm gonna say this now.
It's all gonna have to get beat. So that gets projected onto this wall of the workshop for all to see.
And the elves are speed readers.
Ben is wheezing. Jesus. Ben chokes on his whiskey, is wheezing, shoves the glass back to Hux, and immediately goes to leave and go to Ray to be like, please stop writing, when another gasp. Dear Santa, I forgot to say I love the socks. What do you think? Love, your baby doll. And it's a picture of Ray wearing only the socks. Full body, legs spread for the whole workshop to see.
Legs spread.
Oh yeah, this girl set up a timer and a tripod, and she got the whole business in her very artistic, I'm sure, sex photo.
I'm exhausted already.
I know. And Ben yells, "Would someone shut that off?" while sprinting out to get to her. Ray, meanwhile, is now standing by her window with a cup of coffee and a fluffy robe and the socks, feeling very pleased with herself. Is just watching the snow come down and is like, I'm sure Santa's really busy. He's resting. Like, I don't think I'm gonna get a response till tomorrow. Like, he's a really busy man, and isn't thinking anything of it when she hears jingle bells coming to the house, and she hears heavy boots thundering up the front steps and a loud knock on the door, and opens it to a very handsome looking man.
He looks
Santa's
different.
son, she thinks. Who could this strange man be? And he says, so you decided the moment you were off the list that you could misbehave? And like, she goes, who are you? And is very confused. And he says, I'm hot all the rest of the time, but like temporal magic.
I'm hot again. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
And
excuse me. I'm Kylo Ren.
And I loved this. And he goes,
I'm hot again.
He goes, that's not a problem, is it? You're not just into like the beard and like old men, right? Like, because if you are, that's fine, and I'll leave. And she goes, oh, well, so you're really Santa? And he goes, yeah. And then she goes, prove it. And he smirks and says, if you insist, and grabs her hand and guides it to his bulge. And she's like, I recognize the feeling of that, dick. And that's how
I recognize this bulge.
That's how she's like, oh yeah, you are the same guy.
No, I have been married now 5 years. All right, 5 years. If I had a 12 men's packages,
12 Amazon packages in front of you,
I could never.
No, never. Well, what's the fabric? You're feeling through.
Is it denim? It's harder to feel through denim.
Yeah, let's say they were all denim.
Is it denim?
Nothing.
Okay, so
oh god.
They smile at each other. She grabs him, drags him inside. The door slams, and now we get hot young Santa sexy times with a lot of dirty talk.
Great.
He explains that she should call him Ben. Santa's more of a work title. At the end of banging, she's like, what happens next? And he goes, that's up to you. I have obligations at the North Pole that I can't abandon, but I wouldn't expect you to uproot your whole life to be with him. She, on the other hand, this is all she's ever wanted. This is all she ever had. And she's like, I get to go to the North Pole and see the elves.
Please tell me there's a North Pole.
Oh my god, the elves have already seen her.
Mm-hmm. Oh god. Does she understand that?
I know she does not know that yet. She does. I don't. We never get a scene of him telling her, but I assume she's told at some point. And 1 year later, we get Ray living as Mrs. Claus and being very, very happy.
Well, hi, Mrs. Claus. We've seen your tits.
Yes.
Did you like the socks?
Ben gets back from delivering gifts on Christmas Eve and asks where his wife is. And Hux, the head elf, says, Ray retired about an hour ago. She mentioned something about keeping traditions alive. I didn't ask. Please don't clarify. She's over there.
Please don't clarify.
Ben stood straighter, a wild grin taking over his face, and says Merry Christmas as he rushes out of the room. They do not make an appearance until very late in the day, the next day on Christmas Day. His wife is very, very happy and walking with a slight limp. And that's a baby doll who laughs and cries and opens and shuts her eyes.
Wow.
So this is a very late Christmas gift to Jacob because he is not here.
And he'll know. Yeah.
So he has to wait until this comes out. And he was really looking forward to it. I plan on telling him it was amazing. Everything was solid. There was not a single thing missed. He really lost out.
Yeah.
I think this is actually funny. I think you read a story that I would usually read.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I read a story that was like, that's nice.
Yeah.
Like it's so,
we flipped.
So funny. And at one point during the second bout of sex, when you're like, and there's a lot of dirty talk, and I'd be like, I would have, in a normal book, I'd be like, what is it?
Mm-hmm.
This? I don't want to know. I think it was the fact that you wake up with a giant
older Santa man
upon you saying, good girls don't wake up until I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Good girls don't wake up until Christmas.
God is good.
God is good.
God is good.
God is good.
If you don't know where that's from, that's Amish.
That's the Amish
2.2.
episode.
Amish.
That also had
episode 2.
Unhinged
Kylo
Ren, but not at all related to Star Wars in any way.
No.
Just like this one.
Oh, wow. Good job.
My game was Merry Christmas, everyone, and Happy New Year and Happy Hanukkah, and I didn't come up with a game.
Yeah.
I printed out these letters, and that was as much of a game. The game was in the thing.
Yeah, the game was what we just heard.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow. Final thoughts.
You guys still do not care for this trope.
You know what? I don't either.
I've converted you guys, I see.
I think this might be a first. Is this a first?
Of us not liking it either?
Oh, of us reading something that we don't like. Because we both don't like accidental pregnancies, which I have read accidentally before.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a lot that we both don't like together, but I think this one we went into it not knowing, and we both came out going,
we came out in agreement of being meh. Yeah, I would say so.
Fun episode, fun
Absolutely.
to experience it. I will not seek out Santa romances.
Correct.
Unless asked of me.
Shocked. Can't even imagine. But now you have 5 of them.
Shut up. I hate you. Rate us. Rate us, baby.
Oh, okay. Well,
it was Seduced by Santa, and it was
Baby Doll.
Shorten it. Baby Doll.
Baby Doll.
well, I hated both of them in different ways.
Yeah, that's fair. I hear that.
I honestly, I could give both of these 3 raccoons because
That's generous.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give both 3 raccoons. I would like to give you potentially a cockroach extra point for the fact that you brought in props.
Thank you.
I
tried.
But honestly, this trope is still trash.
And I get a demerit for road claws. You get a cockroach.
I'm still not sure.
Rowdy claws.
Yep.
Oh, wow. So am I correct by saying that I think I have one more episode?
You have one
more.
You got to pick a one that you really want to hear.
And then after that, it will be the finale.
I actually, okay, so then I will hold off because I do have an idea for the finale.
Well, the finale, we go over all of them.
Oh, excellent. Okay,
so
then
this is your last one where you pick a trope.
All right.
Yes.
What I would like for this one is to hear both of you guys, your least favorite tropes.
Which I just said. There's a lot of tropes out there, though. But
there are. But what are the ones that like not a DNFer, but one of those tropes that you feel the need to tell somebody before you give it to them.
Do you want us to decide that now, or do you want us to come to the next episode and present a story of our least favorite tropes and have it be a surprise?
Do you also want it to be the same trope?
No, it does not have to be the same trope.
Okay.
And I wonder if you guys can convince yourselves to find something with the tropes that you do not like, because I'm a hater and you guys have convinced me on numerous occasions that maybe I have sipped too hard from the haterade when it comes to certain tropes. I wonder if you guys can convince yourselves of tropes that you do not care for. If you want to tell me now, you can.
I have to look.
I need to think on it because I'm having trouble. I'm sure I have ones that I don't like, but I'm having trouble thinking of them right now, and I really want to sit with it.
Okay, that's actually stirred some stuff in us. I think we can call the next one like our
shit we hate.
Yeah, least favorite tropes.
Yep, least favorite tropes.
All right,
excellent.
I'm excited. We get to surprise each other.
I know this is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Our last episode of our last regular episode of season 4 will be least favorite tropes.
Yep.
And we'll record this in the new year.
Yes, we will.
Oh my gosh.
I know this is coming out in February, but Happy New Year, you guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy holidays. I'll see you soon.
This
And
has been a highlight of 2024.
this really has.
What a wonderful time we've had.
Yeah.
Well, we've just been 2 raccoons.
Talking about
The
best trash in town.
Goodbye.
Bye. Goodbye.
Thank you, Kylo Ren.
Femmes Reading Filth is hosted, produced, and edited by Emily Barusian and Jessica Mall. Intro music by Tom Lehrer. Outro music by David Reddick. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Femmes Reading Filth. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.